And then if you want to get fancy, you could come down like that and pull back. Today we're going to be teaching my good friend and talented photographer, Andrew Optics, how to use his new gimbal. He just picked up a new DJI RS4, and we're going to be using his beautiful 87 911 Carrera as the subject. I'm going to be teaching him how to dial in his settings, how to walk properly with the gimbal, and favorite gimbal movements that you could do when it comes to automotive filmmaking. And by the time you guys are done watching this video, you'll be able to do these movements as well. Are you excited for today?
Super excited, man. Thank you for making the time and bringing me out here.
So Andrew's super talented, like I mentioned. He does a lot of automotive work for photography with a lot of manufacturers. So let's waste no more time. Let's get to shooting some beautiful B-roll as we're starting to get really nice light. We're gonna go over the settings first, how to walk with the gimbal, and then teach him a thing or two when it comes to using the gimbal. So real quick, I want to hop on here and make sure your gimbal is dialed so you can get the best movements possible. Now, I'm assuming you already know how to balance the gimbal, and if you don't, check out a bunch of different tutorials, follow along, then come back here so we can make sure this one setting is dialed. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a DJI RS2, 3, 4, any of the Zhiyun or Moza gimbals. All these gimbals have the same one setting that we want to make sure is dialed, and that's your deadband. The deadband is how reactive or delayed your gimbal operates, and depending on whether you have a low or high setting, it could really mess up your gimbal movements. Now, you might think having the deadband set to low is going to give you smoother movements, but in fact, it's the opposite. The lower the deadband, the more micro jitters, imperfections translate through the gimbal. Now, if you have your deadband set to, say, a medium, or what I like to have mine set at, a high setting, it's going to cause your gimbal to be super delayed when you're operating it. However, those little micro movements, or while you're holding it on a pistol grip, any slight movement, it's not going to go through the gimbal and mess up your shot. Essentially, what you could do is build muscle memory like a lot of different gimbal operators do with a higher deadband, so that you can time your gimbal movements with the delay, but overall, your shots are going to be so much better. You guys see the settings up on the screen. Try them out for yourself. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time and muscle memory to get used to it, but as you guys are gonna see, Andrew starts picking it up pretty quickly, and his shots are coming out great for someone who's never used the gimbal. So just try those settings out. Let me know in the comments below, and let's get back to the in-field tutorial so you guys could become better gimbal operators. All right, so now that we got the gimbal settings all dialed in, I'm gonna teach Andrew how to walk with the gimbal. It's called the ninja walk. What we wanna do is put a slight bend in our knees. We're gonna hold the dual handles, and we wanna tuck our elbows in. This ensures that as we're walking, we're not bobbing up and down with the Z-axis, because this gimbal is a 3-axis gimbal stabilizer. The 4th axis that it does not stabilize is that Z-axis. Bend our knees slightly, and as we're walking, we want to roll our heels, and we're using our legs almost like dampening as we walk with the gimbal, so that as we push forward towards the car or the subject, our legs are taking a lot of the bounce out of the equation. Andrew, go ahead and give us a demonstration. Very cool. You might want to hold it up a little bit higher so you could see the monitor, because you're always going to be looking at the monitor, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So now that Andrew is going to pick up some walking skills with the gimbal, let's do a push-in towards the front of the car. We have a really cool 45-degree angle right now. Let's start a take. And yeah, let's just do a nice smooth push-in towards the car. Now for our settings, we are on 60 frames per second. We're shooting on a FX3 in S-Log 3. So now that Andrew's feeling comfortable with walking with the gimbal, I'm gonna teach him another cool way to reveal a car when you're doing a push-in. We're gonna put the gimbal on pan, tilt, follow mode, PTF mode. This way, if we tilt up, the camera's gonna tilt up. If we tilt down, it's gonna tilt down. Now, being that our deadband is set very high from the settings I mentioned, it's gonna be delayed. So Andrew's gonna have to really turn it up. Keep going, and you'll see it pointing now. And then to reveal down, you're really gonna have to Yeah, you're gonna have to play with it a little bit, okay? The dead band takes a little bit of getting used to because it's delayed, but this is gonna give you the smoothest shot possible. It's fast, but I'll go like, you know?
Okay.
Or same with the sky. You kind of have to have it down.
Yeah.
And then like once you stop and like you level it out, it'll land flat.
Yeah, and then go back.
Yeah. And you just gotta find the timing of the whip up for it to land on the car. So now Andrew's confident with his push-ins, we're gonna teach him how to do an orbit. Now, orbits take practice, guys. Don't beat yourself up. The nice thing is, being that we're shooting in 60 frames per second, we don't need a full 360. We don't even need a 180 around the subject, whether it's a person or a vehicle. So we just need to feel the gimbal as it starts to kick in. You'll know what I'm talking about once you pick it up, because you'll feel it start to turn. And you just—
The gimbal or the camera?
The gimbal.
Okay.
So as you're holding it, I like to hold it on the top for my orbits, like here. Okay. And you're gonna feel the gimbal.
It's like this movement?
Yeah, like watch. Now you see it riding and you kind of just do this little, with this arm and this arm, you do almost like that.
Yeah.
And you'll feel it and you'll be able to ride the orbit a lot longer. So for the first one, I'm just gonna do an orbit around the rim, being that this is a detail shot that we want to showcase Andrew's rim. So let me demonstrate one and then I'll have you give it a shot.
All right.
So I'm down here. We didn't bring a polarizer. Normally we do, so you might see myself or Andrew in the reflection. Like I see Andrew right now, but that's okay. This is just for demo.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start down here. And once I feel it, and then you could even pedal out and have even more of a dynamic movement. Sometimes I use the top handle, sometimes I don't.
I was gonna say, like, because you could do something like that.
Totally, whatever feels comfortable, and you're gonna have to put the reps in. Yeah. You can't just pick up a gimbal on the first day and get crazy, crazy good shots, but the more reps you put in, the better you'll get. Let me turn this on
so
for you.
It's from here to that, right?
Yeah, and
hands.
like, yep. Okay. And you could start to walk with it, which gets a little tricky, but it's gonna be hard to keep the tire in frame the first time. You just feel like where it starts to kick in, you know?
I don't know if I got it that time.
It's okay.
Do you want this being in any position to start? Or
no, I kind of start it a little bit more out this way, so that once it kicks in, you kind of just see, like do you feel it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like when it starts to orbit, you kind of like ride it out.
Like,
there you go. There you go. Not too bad. It's hard keeping it centered, right?
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the better you're gonna get.
Is there like a walking technique that you do? Because you kind of have to cross
sometimes
your legs, right?
Some gimbal operators or Steadicam crossover, some hate to crossover. It's really just like what's easier for you the more you do it. I try to start it early. So I'm gonna be over here. I got the crosshair on the emblem and I'm gonna twist this way so I can come around. And then if you want to get fancy,
a little reveal.
You could come down like that and pull back. So you can always add multiple dimensions, but let's get the orbit down first, you know? But it'll come with time, bro.
Yeah.
It
You
will.
kept the emblem like perfectly dead center on that the whole time too. I was looking.
Hell yeah. All right, so Andrew had some practice doing some orbits. Guys, when it comes to automotive, orbit all the details, the badges, the rims, the mirrors, if there's custom carbon fiber or parts. You can get big hero shot orbits, or you could get the minute details of the vehicle to really show it off. Now we've been in pan, tilt, follow mode the whole time, but I'm gonna show Andrew, we're gonna switch this to FPV, which is this side switch straight down. What this is gonna do, kind of like the 360 roll, just not as cheesy. I like to call this like the Dutch angle roll. And what we wanna do is as we're pushing in or pulling out of the subject, you almost have to start the roll and you wanna walk forward towards or away from the subject. But you almost have to start it like delayed, like I showed you.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a little extra rotation and then roll as I start to walk forward.
Okay.
We repositioned the car. We're gonna do a pull out of the rear, revealing the nice logo and the nice rear of the car. So what I want you to do, Andrew, is something like this. Manny, you mind swinging over to the side real quick? Shout out to Manny on the camera. I'm gonna look at this, and what I'm gonna do is, let's aim the crosshair on the monitor at that Carrera, and now I'm gonna give it a little extra crank. And then same thing going back. It's hard to keep it centered, but
Yeah, I mean, that looked really good.
you know,
Yeah.
give it a shot. It takes a little.
Okay. And your goal is to just keep that crosshair.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So if you guys are using an external monitor or looking at the monitor on your camera, you can have a crosshair set in the middle. That's my center point where I like to try to keep it stuck in that middle. It's not always gonna be perfect, but in post, we can cheat it and stuff like that. But yeah, more or less.
Just
Yeah, feel how it rotates. It's a little delayed and whatnot. Keep rotating, rotating, rotating.
this is definitely not center, but
It's okay. It's gonna take practice,
yeah.
you know?
Okay.
There you go.
Better.
Not bad, bro. So what are your impressions so far with the gimbal? How do you feel? Like obviously you're gonna want practice and stuff, but
Yeah, definitely want to practice more, but feeling way more confident
little bit.
now than when I first started.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the shots like on a computer and seeing how smooth I was able to get them. I might be way more confident now, and then when I get back, we'll see how it goes. But
that's
yeah,
okay.
no, I mean, ton of fun, really, really rewarding seeing those shots kind of like come to life and stuff too. So, but that's kind of the form you would do for those low ones.
Yeah, when I'm down low, I have to use the top handle. You're 6 foot like I am, we're tall. So
And then
otherwise our back is gonna be dead. So we got the push in, we got the orbit, we got the little Dutch angle roll. For you short guys, you're not gonna like this movement. For us tall guys, I'm gonna teach you how to do a fake jib shot with the gimbal. I don't see this done often at all, but this is something I like to incorporate with my gimbal move. So what we're gonna do is put the gimbal back in PTF mode, that pan, tilt, follow. And what we want to do, it's a little bit tricky, and like I said, for you short guys, this is gonna be difficult, but I'm gonna angle my monitor down towards my face, and I'm gonna hold the gimbal as high as I can and tilt down. And what I want to do is come down with the gimbal while I'm tilting up. But as I'm tilting up, I want to squat with it. And this is going to give a really unique parallax movement behind the car. Here we go. So you almost want to point it down, and then you're going to angle it back towards you as you're squatting down. Now this is definitely there you go. All right, so we got majority of our gimbal movements done for you beginners, or for some of you guys that just want a refresh on how to operate a gimbal. The last thing I'm gonna show Andrew is how to use foreground. So it's nice to pull off of edges or just have a foreground in the shot. What we want to do is put the lens in manual mode so that we could focus on the car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back over here. So we're gonna use this as a little bit of foreground. And what I'm gonna do is switch the G Master lens to manual mode, if I could find it. All right, so I have focus peaking on my external monitor, Andrew, so I could just make sure that the car is in focus. And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna clear image zoom this to crop out our amazing cameraman. Just use this as like another dynamic movement, revealing the car. You could even come down low if you want and completely hide the car. And we're gonna get a nice pretty flare.
Yep, that's nice.
All right, well, that wraps up today's video with a photographer using his gimbal for the first time. Andrew, how bad was it? Was it really tough? Like, what were the sticking points?
No, it wasn't as bad as I thought. You did a good job teaching me. I think the push-ins, pull-outs are the easiest for sure for anyone that's just getting into it as well. And then, yeah, I would say orbits or anything where you're having to just, the more you're moving your body, the more difficult it is to get smooth shots. So isolating your movements as much as possible, I think.
Yeah, in the beginning, you can get those semi-orbits around like smaller subjects without having to walk. Just practice. It takes a lot of reps, but I mean, Andrew and I co-own a production company together. He sees us using this gimbal all the time. I'm sure he's gonna start picking it up on set too to mess around with. And I can't wait to see what you do with this beautiful car in the gimbal. Guys, make sure to give him a follow. He's very talented, gives tons and tons of value over on TikTok and his Instagram page. He works with some incredible brands, and just check out his content. You won't be disappointed.
Appreciate it.
Of course. Peace.